All right, good evening. Being 6:30, prescribed time to start our Finance Committee meeting. We'll open the meeting. I'm Dave Hurd, Chairman Pro Tem for this meeting, and we'll have a roll call. We'll just go around and call out your names as we go by. Please speak into your mics.
Stuart Novick.
Ellis Bailey.
Bernie Pigeon.
Joan Font.
And Tom Worthen is not here at the present time.
He has just arrived.
Very good.
Sorry I'm late.
Not by much, but you.
I was talking with the folks at WCTV.
All right, so we have Tom Wortham, we have a quorum. Is there any citizen participation this evening? Seeing none, we'll proceed. We have a request to change the format a little bit and start with the reorganization of the board. I think that's appropriate for two reasons. Tom has to leave, and obviously whoever's running the meeting may as well start and then finish it. So may I have a motion to change the format to start with the reorganization of the board?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Very good. At this point, I'll open the discussion for nominations.
I would like to nominate David Hurd as chairman of the Wareham Finance Committee.
Second.
All right. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none.
Donald Trump? No?
Yeah.
Cut that out, Tom.
Well, but it's an interesting proposal.
And I'd like to see if we can have a nomination for vice chair. I'd like to nominate Joan Fons.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All
Is the
right.
vice chair responsible for bringing the wine and the cheese?
Absolutely.
Very good. Very good.
Not a problem.
And we need a nomination for clerk. Someone has to hold the roll. Do we have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Ellis Bailey as clerk for the Wareham Finance Committee.
Seconded.
All right. Are you willing to take the responsibility?
Yes, I am.
All right, we have a slate for chair, vice chair, and clerk of David Hurd, Joan Fons, and Ellis Bailey. And we have a motion to accept that slate
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, we have a new organization. That being done, we'll go back to the town administrator's report. Thank you. All right. These will pass those on.
I promise not to refer to you as Madam Chair.
I'd have to grow my hair.
The only real update that we have is the conference committee came out with their numbers, and we don't budget the school choice receiving tuition. That goes directly to the schools. So when all the numbers came out, the aid had increased 92,868. If you're looking at page 1, it's listed at page 1 on the bottom. The assessments did increase the school choice sending and the charter school sending by just under 129,000. So realistically, when you bring these all out, because if you looked at the normal cherry sheet, there would be numbers for the offset receipts, but again, we don't budget those. Altogether, the net new aid is a reduction of a little over $36,000. And the DOR does these payments monthly now for our actual aid, and they just reduce them by the assessment, so there's no need to revote the budget or anything if there's any sort of reduction or net less aid altogether. So,
That will be paid, that 36,000 will be paid over the course of this year.
correct, throughout the whole year. And again, they always call these estimates because they can change them right up until the last day of the fiscal year, so.
Does anybody have any questions for Derek? All right.
If there's, on this matter, if there's no other questions, I did put this together for the Board of Selectmen last night. It's not in writing, but through 7/13/2015, we collected for the kiosk $61,606. The same time frame for last year, so through 7/13/2014, we'd collected $51,130. So we are still trending higher than the previous year, and that would be by $10,476. The books now, with this being 15 days into the new fiscal year, the books have been closed. We anticipate to have the unaudited, unadjusted revenue and expenditure finals, I would say by mid-August at the latest. So I think when we have when would your next meeting be?
We will vote on a new meeting. It'll be August 12th or 17th. Be a month.
We should be able to have updates for those to provide you, to give just sort of a capture of how the year finished out.
That would be good. Excellent. Any comments? Tom?
Back to the kiosk thing, it's $10,000 higher, is that the result of the earlier start? Or is
Well,
it-
yeah, we did have roughly $11,000 because of the earlier start, more that we captured in May. But we do believe that there'd be a slight decline for the rest of the year with Shell Point accepting the resident passes, so those can be taken up. It's not all kiosk money. So still, we're trending towards our estimate, even a little higher than $148,000.
But week to week, we're sort of on a par with where we were last year?
Yeah, we're doing pretty well in there. It was interesting. The previous week, we weren't trending as higher, and then last week was really, obviously with the high temperatures, it's amazing what a boom those are. You can have, I think so far I'll have to pull it out again, but this month I believe we'll end up between the $52,000 to $55,000 mark, depending on weather. You have a couple bad Saturdays and Sundays, it can really hurt you. So. And
Good.
nothing else really exciting in the world right now.
Nothing else really exciting.
It's just the day-to-day fun.
Well, we like things that aren't too exciting at this point.
But may I ask a question about all of the properties in town are being re-evaluated this summer. Is that what's happening? Have I got that totally wrong?
Yeah, I think that's incorrect. We have the 10-year measure and list coming up, but last year was a reval year.
Yeah.
That was the previous. But you'll be coming up on the 10-year measure and list, but you would have had to have gone through most of the properties. So.
That's happening this year or happened last
No,
year?
I believe we've got 2 more years left on that before we finish out the full measure and list. And they're staggered because you have one for residential and you have it for commercial as well.
All right. Anything else from Mr. Sullivan? We'll get you next time.
Yeah, I was going to start saying Bueller. Bueller. Take care. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right. Go on to Finance Committee matters. We've done the reorganization of the board. We have a fall town meeting coming up in October, and actually it's on October 26th. I believe you all have in your packet a process for calling a town meeting, which outlines the schedule of activities and the targets for having data submitted to the Board of Selectmen and other town boards. And on this, you can see that in September 10th is the last day to submit partitions to be inserted in the warrant. That's 45 days before the town meeting convenes. So based upon this, we will have a meeting in August. Since Thursday, August 13th is the last day that anything can be submitted, it would make sense to hold our meeting the following Wednesday. Anyone have an objection to holding the meeting on that would be the, 17th of August?
16th.
16th?
Days. Oh, wait a minute, it's a Wednesday? Yeah. 6
Wednesday.
days. Wouldn't it be the 16th?
Wednesday is,
19th,
17th?
19th.
actually be Wednesday the 19th. Wednesday the 19th.
You got Thursday, September 10th, and you're talking about the Wednesday after that?
Thursday.
No.
August 13th.
After August 13th.
Could you refer to that? Thursday, that's the last time to submit petition articles.
Oh, excuse me. So, okay, we're talking August. And
So on August 13th, any article that is not a citizen petitioned article that would be by a department head, board, or committee must be submitted by the close of business for consideration and inclusion in the warrant. That's on August 13th. So if we held the meeting the following week, then all those would have been submitted at that time.
Okay, always a month ahead with the petition articles.
Any comments on the process or schedule for holding a town meeting this fall? Nope.
Selectmen call it, that's what it is.
All right.
I would like to talk about being more proactive this year. Felt like we didn't get our message out on a few items last year until town meeting, when 3 or 4 of us said no, and we were the only ones in the room that did say no.
No, definitely. I think that it's imperative that we become more active than we have been. And I think over the last few years, we've seen the Finance Committee become more involved, and I would like to see it continue to get more involved. I think it's very important that we provide an independent review, an independent voice that explains to town meeting and the people in the town what's going on, and make an objective appraisal of each article that comes forward.
I agree. We're an agent of town meeting,
That's correct.
and we're their voice in between the meetings that they have, and I think we are the town, so to speak. And it's our responsibility to speak out on their behalf. I agree with Alex.
Good. So as chair, I plan on calling on you folks to help me do my homework and you do your homework, because I think it's very important. We do have that obligation, that commitment, and it's our town too.
Having said that, I want more of that. I've only been here 6 months. I'm not sure how to get it yet, how to understand people's budgets and hopefully make suggestions earlier. I was thinking site visits potentially here and there, getting budgets earlier to review them and maybe even a little more detail. Once someone's in front of us, I can ask a few questions, but it doesn't seem like anything changes after that.
It's difficult to be presented with a budget, someone making a presentation, and in the course of an hour presentation, understand what's involved. Putting together a budget is a long process, and it's a detailed process. And I think it's important that we do understand what's involved in that budget and what it means to the department and also to the town.
David, I don't think it's inappropriate for us to ask that the department heads appear before us.
They do tend to, but after their budgets are done.
Well, indeed, because they have to go before the selectmen first, and then it comes to us, and then we revert it. But we have the department heads again. We know the details of why they want something, and it's our responsibility to take perhaps even a different view than what the selectmen or the town manager is proposing. And we need to know the impact if we have a different view on it.
Yes. Again, I'm not sure if other finance committees do have a questionnaire or a list of questions that they present to the town boards before the budgets are presented. These are the things that we would like to see. I know we have representatives from the board who are assigned to go and talk to the various departments ahead of time, but that seems to be, that has not worked out as well as it should.
I think collectively, having a conversation, we are a town, we're all members of the town, we all have the same interests, and if they are here before us, we can have a conversation, and I'm certain something I may mention may key something in you that you want to ask a question on, and collectively we can speak more as one voice by doing that and building on what each other's interests are. I think it's more constructive in the objective of our arriving at a reasonable decision as to what the recommended town meeting should vote on.
Absolutely. And it may be worthwhile actually to ask some of the town department heads to come back for a second cut, because we get the information, we try to absorb it and understand it, and it's difficult to do that in the course of an hour.
Oh, indeed.
We should feel free to invite them to come back before we make our final vote.
Well, I think perhaps we should limit ourselves to time. I mean, I'm accustomed in going through that process of being here till 11 o'clock at night. And in my experience in old committees, we went through that process for 2 weeks, 3 days a week, to make sure we got all the information, everything was answered and asked and answered and all. It's more a case of when we're satisfied with the answer, that's when we're done.
I think that's a very insightful thought. I mean, we do have to be satisfied with the answer,
Well,
and
David, we're
we
in
have to pursue it.
charge.
Yes,
Not in this town.
Keep that thought, we're in charge.
yes.
I think we should go walk into their departments on site. We should do much more walking through, getting to know the physical limitations that they're dealing with and just how they operate on a day-to-day basis, so that we've got a view from, not behind this big U, but we're out into, we know what the municipal maintenance manager's place looks like, we know what walk around his property and what the status of his equipment is and things of that nature, so we've got a better appreciation of what they're dealing with.
I agree.
Yeah, if we- I would suggest that we do that, though, a little more formality, just asking the manager for an appropriate time to go over. We don't want to interfere with what he's doing on his day-to-day activities. But I think being on site certainly is proper.
Doing something like that makes sense, to see their equipment and.
They may let you drive the backhoe and everything,
I'd love
John.
to be able to do that.
Well, we
Indeed,
got, we
yeah.
got, we should walk through the sewer department. The
Well,
whole
wait a
damn
minute,
thing.
clarify that.
Put boots on.
When the town managers put together their budgets, and excuse me if this is a stupid question, but what instructions are they given? Are there certain policies that the town and the Board of Selectmen, somebody adopts that drives what their budget's gonna look like? It's gonna be an increase of X percent, or we need a reduction of X percent? Do we know that stuff, or is that how it's done? Or is it zero-based budgeting every year, or?
We do not have a guideline that I know of.
But to the managers in the town, the department heads, and if they do, are we privy to that, to know what's driving what they're asking for?
I think that's a question that we will have Mr. Sullivan answer next meeting. And I will talk to him about that, because that's a very, we do need to know what that is to start with, if there is one,
Yeah.
and what the guidelines are.
What his philosophy is in the preparation of it. If he's, he goes from, starts from not last year, or zero base as you suggest. Might be helpful too for all of us. I'm not sure about the rest of us. If he could either convert or download that to Excel and just pass it on to us in that fashion, instead of doing a piece of paper. It'd be great if I got that attached to an email. I could download it on my unit and look at it myself.
And you could do the analysis on it.
Indeed, I am individually, as we come here and collectively help us in the preparation of our handout either. Also, excuse me.
Very good thoughts, and keep them coming. I think that's what we need as a committee. We need to be able to discuss these items, take best practices from past experience from other towns, and let's make that our policy, that we'll try to do that.
One issue, and I'm very new here, haven't been here a whole year yet. One issue is trying to familiarize myself, especially coming on the committee here, with the prudential committees. And I find it puzzling that there's nowhere in the budget that I see that the town transfers from its own coffers to either the onset or Wareham. I understand there's a contract, which I'd love to see. I'm not sure when town meeting ratified it, but transferring those monies should occur with town meeting, irrespective of the contract, because when you write your check to pay for your taxes, you write it to the town of Wareham. Now, the fact that it's commingled with funds from the other two entities, it's still in the town coffers. We pay the accountant, his deferred costs out of that and all, so that should be appropriated through town meeting, to go from the town coffers to Wareham and onset. It's not an issue.
To the
that I
fire.
have, but it's a process. I think, I'd love to see when that contract was ratified also.
I think the contract was ratified around 1903. It's been a long time, but those
It's supposed to be ratified every 25 years.
those are very good questions. No, and those are
It's a
things.
process issue.
Yes.
Not that I'm concerned about the monies or whatever. It's just a process issue.
Very good. I cannot answer those questions,
Oh, indeed, I know.
but we will find out.
It's one of those things I feel that they've probably always done it this way.
Yep. All right. Let's see.
Cost of
Is there a consistent format that people present their budgets to us, or is it just what they want to do?
The answer is no. It's developed.
So let me ask this question.
It is standardized for the town.
Is there a format that we want whoever comes in front of us to present their information?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear your first part of your question. My apologies.
Is there a specific format that as a finance committee, we'd like people to present to us as to whatever information they're giving us? Some kind of template? Or are we just gonna leave it up to each individual
You're right on, but we
to
don't do
say
that.
this is the way we wanna do it?
It's quite appropriate to do so.
That's
We have to create some kind of structure so that everyone comes in with the same process and the same criteria.
Because there's a lot of stuff, and I'd like to focus primarily on whatever the town policies, whoever comes up with them, as to what the budget's, what the guidelines are. And then just focus on the differences from last year, as opposed to going through every line item that these people have, which will overwhelm us.
I know, it's irrelevant to figure out how much we're spending in Greece or oil, whatever.
Right.
Indeed.
So we ought to think about that and how we'd like people to present it, regardless of what they're doing, so that it's consistent, understandable to us, and gets to the meat of the matter as quickly as possible.
Even more important, so they understand it. If we establish a format properly, they'll have a lot better understanding of how their business, how their operations run. And they don't, or many of them don't.
I can't comment on that. I'm
Yeah.
assuming they know what they're doing, but I don't know what they're doing.
Well, case in point, a very obviously one, Department of Education tells all the cities and towns what's the minimum they're required for the next fiscal year to spend, and it's up to the town either to spend that or more. I've always looked at it in the context, okay, this is what our baseline, because we have to appropriate that by law. And they're asking, let's say, for $1 million more. What are we getting for that extra $1 million?
Right.
And to bring it back down now to the.
And why is there something else
DPW and
in that
stuff like
baseline?
What are we getting extra for that, for what they're requesting?
So does the state lay out, just for example, all the specific things you've got to spend money on?
No,
No.
I don't recall that, no. I use the Department of Education because they do have a specific number
Yeah,
that they use.
okay.
About everything else, it says, they asked for X number of dollars last year. This year they want Y. It's a reasonable question to know, why do you need the increase? And what are you
And-
going to do with it? What are we getting for it?
Right, and we'll see that the department heads will attempt to answer those questions, and those are legitimate questions to ask. We obviously have increased salaries, increased expenses, fuel goes up, power goes up. We all are faced with those issues. Kelly just made an interesting point, and that was that some 7 years ago or so, there was a format that the FinCom had developed, that was developed by the FinCom and then promulgated in conjunction with the town administrator for the department heads. So Kelly will take a look and see if she can find that format, and if she can, she'll send it out to all of us.
That'd be great.
Very good.
So that would be
Yes.
good. And again, I encourage people who have had experience in other towns, if there's something that you can bring from another town, or you know someone on the finance committees in another town that might be advantageous or helpful for us, let's take advantage of that.
In that light, I think it's Mass Municipal or the Association of Finance Committees. They used to run a conference every year, and they have seminars. It's probably usually on a Saturday, and they have seminars all day, food in the middle and all that stuff. It's well worth considering going if you have the opportunity. They have a number of seminars and give you some insight, and because of everybody else being around, you can talk to other people, find out how they're doing things, what they're doing, problems that they're solving, etc. It's very enlightening, very fruitful.
How do you find out what they are and when they're
Just go
scheduled?
on the, can't think of what their title would be on the website, but Mass Association of Finance Committees.
Claire, the town moderator, is in tune with that too.
Okay.
She'll probably start coming to our meetings, and she's a wealth of knowledge.
No, that's very worthwhile. I went to that last year.
Yeah,
and it's definitely worthwhile.
I did some presentations at that.
All right.
times.
I'll see if I can get that website and send it out to you also,
Great.
so you can take a look at that. We do have some empty chairs. Symbolically, they're here. We are looking for interested, active parties to join us in our quest for financial and fiscal relevance in this town. So if you know of anyone, or if anyone is out there, please consider joining us. It's important. It's an important function. It's very, very, very informative to us who are on the committee, but it's important for the whole town to understand how we do budget and how your taxes are being spent. So please, anyone who's interested, anyone who's out there watching this group, it's an opportunity to join us and participate in this and help your community at the same time. Is there any other business we'd like to discuss? All right, I proposed the next meeting date to be held on the 19th of August. Anyone have a problem with that, or a separate date that they would propose? There being none, we'll schedule our next meeting at 6:30 on 19th of August.
Can I make a suggestion? Do we start them at 7? Is that a problem for anyone? I'm thinking in the context of people coming out of Bedford, Fall River, et cetera, and they're getting home, getting settled with their families, and then wanting to come here. May help in terms of for candidates if they consider they don't have to be here as early perhaps, and have a little more time to adjust to getting home with their families and coming here.
In my experience, we've always started at 6:30, and sometimes someone comes in late. We accept that but the nights get long when we start getting into our meetings, and we get to 10:30. Again, it becomes a problem for some people. But let's hold that open, and we can revisit that in the future. I don't want anyone not to participate because of the time we start. All right, any other business? There being none, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you very much.